Subscribe, please.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's your favorite Gimp of the Limp, and in my efforts to take and film as many short little videos as I can before I get shut down there for a few weeks, I am doing a quick unboxing on a couple things that just got sent to me. This is Stalin's Triumph and Desert Heat, both parts of the Nations at War series. And Nations at War is getting ready to kind of get the lock and load tactical treatment. There is a third edition of the rulebook that is in the process of being poked around and worked at right now that's going to be released upcoming, and they're just trying to kind of spruce up the Nations at War series as well, kind of like how they did with Lock and Load Tactical, which I really like. And I gotta say, I had the other one, the White Star Rising, and I just hadn't gotten around to play it yet. And I kept meaning to, and just, one thing after another kept coming up. And that one's actually packed away at the current moment in preparation for my move. But thanks in part to my time at the WBC, where I got all that hands-on time with World at War 85, and now the, play testing that I've been doing for that, I've really come to like the system. So I was like, okay, this is, World at War 85 set in World War II. What's not to love? I really want to get my hands on that, and I've been talking to Lock and Load about it, and we're going to work on a set of video series for these as well. So I'm going to get started on that, but I just wanted to pop the box real quick on these, show you guys what comes in it, all the good counters and maps and all that good stuff. And if I got time, I'm going to try to play through like a quick little scenario to show you just some of the differences I've read over the rule book a little bit earlier between this and World at War 85. Obviously, there are going to be this basic rules, right, of how to play the game are very similar, but there's so much meat and difference, and like the ranges are a lot less, the firepower is a lot less. Obviously different weapons, you don't have guided missiles, no helicopter, stuff like that. It's World War II stuff that's being used. All right, so let's take and pop open Stalin's Triumph. Enough of me yapping here. I'll let you guys see what comes in it. Just kind of like with the tactical series, you're going to have a module booklet, and then you're also going to have your actual rules booklet. And this is the 2.0 version of the rule book currently. I don't know when the 3.0 is going to be coming out, but I will let you guys know as soon as I can. And you can tell by looking at the counters that they're very similar to that World at War 85 feel, in the fact that they've got the stats of range, firepower, and hit number, but they're located a little bit differently than they were in the other one. I kind of like how they've got it set up here, that the AP is next to each other and HE is down off to the side. I'll touch that when we hit the counters here in just a sec. But you guys can see standard lock and load rulebook. If you guys have played one before, nice, good paper, color all across it, examples littered throughout, all that other good stuff. So if you've read one of their rulebooks, you'll have seen this before. Especially if you've played a tactical game, it's very similar. And same with the module scenarios. Any module specific, so like Stalin's Triumph's specific rules are going to be in here at the front. And this one, when I was thumbing through it earlier, it actually has a lot of specific rules, like German special abilities are listed over here, bridge demolition, and then you got Soviets with the political commissars. And let's see what else they've got here. More module specifics. There's a lot going on over here with specific Russian stuff. And then we got Berserk, trenches, support weapons, something for light machine guns and fighters, and then recon airplanes, depression, and motorcycle dismounted. Ooh, that'd be cool. And then the ability to take and design your own scenarios, which is actually really neat. So if you, and I like how they start these off with a tutorial too. And is this one like the other one? Yeah, it's got a walkthrough for you. So if you're learning how to play the game, it tells you what units to take and pull out, what map you're going to take and use, and then it walks you through kind of a game, so you can learn it that way. This is a neat addition that's in the Nation War series. I do like that. But If you've played a tactical game before, you're gonna fall right into this. You got your little historical blurb, your order of battle for the different units, and this is a little bit different in the fact that it is platoon level, and there is a formation counter that's going to be included as well. And then we've got all our other scenarios all listed down through here. So let's take a look at the counters. I know that's what you guys are wanting to see. I think this is some of our Russian units, and these are the counters that I was talking about. This is specific formation counters, okay? So you've got like your HQ unit here, which you can tell because it's got that little dice symbol, and of course it says HQ on it, and down the lower left it has its command range. And similar to World at War 85, their command range is how far out they can issue orders to their units with them still being in command, and then there's, you know, in command roles and all the other good stuff you have to worry about. But unlike World at War 85, where you're drawing cards, in this one you're actually drawing legitimate counters. So these are the counters you're going to draw, and when you draw this counter for this unit, that unit and all of its attachments, because there are attachments in this game as well, they're going to activate. So we see those. We've got a bunch of infantry. Infantry are all going to be helmets in this. They're not just the NATO symbol, but the NATO symbol is on it. There in the top right, you see the NATO symbol. But some infantry can mount. I don't think, are there any mounted infantry? Well, there's some guns. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Some units, like this 45 millimeter anti-tank gun, okay, they're going to come in two different forms. You're going to have a separate counter for its reduced side instead of its backside being the reduced side. And the reason for that is because its backside is going to be, and I punched one. Its backside is going to be its mounted side. So when the gun is actually being towed and moved around, it's going to be here, and I'll have the little NATO symbol there in the top. So you guys can see there's the regular one, and then there's the reduced one. So that's why you're going to have two counters for the same. So when this unit is actually reduced, it gets switched out with this counter. The white stripe is, again, the reduced one. And you're going to have some infantry that are like that as well, that have half tracks, but I don't think there's any on this one that are like that. It also has support weapons, which I don't think there's any on this sheet, but I'll see if I can find some. We've got mortars and some other special type people. Ooh, what are these? Tank riders. Ooh, I'll have to look up that rule. That must be something specific for this module. And I like this too, the IL-2 Sturmwach. Hope I'm saying that right. That's in here. Designated formation. Chit, that's just for sometimes a scenario will tell you to draw for a specific formation. It might not have its own specific counter, so then you'll use this one here. So we've got this sheet, and here we've got some more Russian units. Ooh, is this Russian? Well, yeah, it is Russian, but they got Churchills, which I did not realize the Russians had, but I guess they probably did get some from Britain since they were working together. Churchills, T-34s, and it's the T-34-76, so it's got the upgraded gun on it. That's cool. T-70s. And what do we have here? Motorcycle. Ooh. Okay, so these guys, yep, here we go. You can see the motorcycles are on the back for when they mount up. And then, again, they're going to have reduced units and full-size unreduced units. And, again, more of your just command draw counters all across here. I'm trying to find some heavy infantry. Okay, here's some. There's some rifle infantry here. And then on the backside, you see they've got trucks instead of their reduced side. So you're going to have some that are like that. Some of the German units are really neat. They have half tracks. And then we've got leaders. So that's different from an HQ. That's like similar to your leader unit in Lock and Load Tactical. And then some of the commissars that are here. Now, concealment is something that's a little different. And it took me a sec to get my head wrapped around that when I was reading on it in the rule book. The basic gist is there's a list of conditions that a unit has to meet, like it can't be adjacent to enemy units or within a certain range of recon units, or and it has to be in some type of terrain, I think, that gives it a positive terrain modifier, so it can't be out in the open. But basically, if it meets all the conditions, then it gets a concealment marker, which gives it a bonus to its defense roll. So when it goes to roll defense die when it takes an attack, it gets one more if it meets the conditions for being concealed. So that actually will apply to like armor and soft targets. And some soft targets, you know, they don't have a defensive value. Let me grab that up and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Your defensive value is where the NATO symbol is going to be. So you can see these guys do not have a defensive value, but this T70 up here does. It has 2 dice, but it's looking for a 6 to have a save. These guys, if they were concealed, it would give them a bonus die on top of whatever else they have modifier-wise, and they would roll that looking for 5s or 6s to save them. So, neat stuff. And, of course, you got wire, mines, improved positions, out of command markers, your ops complete, which you're going to put on guys basically anytime they've burned out, like they've used up their actions, you're going to put an ops complete marker on them. Chaos markers, which will actually go in your chit draw cup, and when you take and draw chits, if you get the chaos marker, it's like a random event thing. Something good or something bad can happen and change up the whole aspect of the game. On the back, we've got smoke, Rex. Rex do provide a bonus though. Disrupted, which is the first thing that's going to happen to you instead of being reduced. So let's say you take a hit, you're going to get disrupted, which you can pass a morale check to get rid of disruption. But if you're already disrupted and you take another hit, that's when you're going to be reduced, and then take another hit after that, you're obviously eliminated. Anti-tank ditches, like I said, smoke, bridge out. So basically all your informational markers. And let's see what else we have here. We got some German units. Fate markers, which are kind of like, if I understand it right, reroll markers. But I'm probably not going to use that for solo play just because you don't really want to worry about rerolls, because that's more like a 2-player thing. End turn markers, which are going to be in the cup, randomly being drawn as well. Very similar to World at War 85, in the fact that when you draw 2 to 3, depending on your scenario, that turn's going to end. So you don't know exactly when the turn is going to end, and occasionally a unit might not get to activate. So let's see what kind of German units we have. Martyrs, Panthers. I don't know what the German name for that would have been. Looks neat though. I want to get it out there. Oh, and a Flammenpanzer. So the flame tanks are actually in here, and these things have special rules that if they assault, they get reduced. So it's a neat little addition. Oh, here we go. Here's some support weapons like I was talking about. A Panzer Shrek, which you see doesn't have any stats on it. It just has a little plus. So this actually gives you an extra die when you're making an attack. And heavy machine guns will do the same. So like this light machine gun down here, you see how it adds pluses, so it improves the stats for the infantry unit that is using it. Are there any heavy machine guns? No, it looks like it's all light machine guns. Then we've got a Stuka and a Focke-Wulf, some German leaders, and of course our markers, our command markers for drawing chits. These guys have half tracks, and these are more motorcycles. Okay, here's some half tracks that I was talking about, so you guys can see there's a half track that actually these guys are referred to. The infantry are armored infantry because they have a half track that they can switch over to for 3 movement points. So they switch over, load into it, you know, do whatever action they're going to do, but that'll give them a defensive armor value roll, and then they can dismount and then they're, you know, doing their thing. So real neat stuff. I'm really looking forward to getting this to the table. I'm kicking myself for not trying Nations at War sooner. I'll tell you what, World of War 85 really got me to want to try this out. We've got some armor HQs up here. Ooh, tigers. I want to play with some tigers. Range 7, rolling 3 dice, looking for 4s. And they have 3 dice looking for 4s on defense, so they've got really good defense. And their HE value, range of 5, 3 dice looking for 5. So the HE isn't quite as good, but still pretty decent. Panzer IVs, some more armored infantry. And what do we got down here? Panzer IVs, Panzer IIIs, more armored infantry. Just get stuff in a little bit of flash on there. Oh, I cannot wait to get this game down to the table. It's going to be so cool. All right, so there's the counters. I believe there's 5 sheets in each one. And just like the other games that you played, it's going to be a handful of geomorphic maps, very similar to what you guys have seen before, but more of an open feel to it. There's going to be a lot less crowded with buildings and individual trees and stuff like you would see in a lock and load tactical map. This, of course, is drawn back out just a little bit farther. So you're taking that expanded view. So you might have a set of city hexes that take up like 4 or 5 hexes. Let's see if we can find a city. These are one-sided. Okay, here we go. There's city hexes here. So that's what a city is going to look like in the game. And then you got your trees and hills, obviously, rivers, bridges, all the good stuff that you guys have seen before. Let you guys see a couple more. What is that? Is that a rail? Oh, yeah, cool. It's got a railroad track going right down through it. That's really neat. And then a lot of open terrain there. And we got a good road one here with another little city area. All right, so that's all our maps. And then we have, we got another map buried in here. That's number 10. And just some more rough little road, some more railroad bridges, good stuff. All right, so throw this map over here. Chaos table. This is what I was talking about. You're going to roll a 2d6 to determine what's going to happen with it. It's got a little backside, and it's a lot of random events that can potentially happen. So this is the Berserk that they would talk about. Snipers, lost faith, demoralized, just random stuff that can happen in combat is simulated by this, and this is going to be rolled on when you draw that chaos marker out of your random chit draw cup. Rule summary, player aid, good stuff, just like you've seen before. Neat thing that they included with these things are also unit point cost. So when you're taking in like creating your own scenarios, bam, there you go. You know how much each one of these units is going to cost, and you can like take reduced units. So this Pioneer unit, full is 13, but a reduced is 8. So backside, it's got some more units, HQ, stuff like that. And then you're going to have it for the Soviet forces as well, unit point cost. And then we have our, which one is this? Okay, that's trade effect. We've got our player aid chart that has the turn track, and then just some brief graphics here showing you what these things mean, just to keep it in your head, just in case you forget about anything. And then, turn track here at the bottom. And then obviously our terrain effects chart, which is going to tell you whether or not it provides concealment, a little example of it, the movement cost, and any defensive bonus that it's going to provide, and then the name of it over there. So real basic stuff that comes with it, stuff that you've seen them before, but I gotta say I am really looking forward to getting this to the table. I'm gonna try to take and run through a quick scenario for you guys as well, just to show you some of the gameplay, because like I said, it's similar to World at War 85, but it is different enough that I am thrilled that I've got it. We won't take as much time with Desert Heat as we did with Stalin's Triumph, just because pretty much it's the same thing, just different location. This is Africa campaign. So you're going to have, I think it's American, British, French, German, and Italian forces all represented in this game. So you'll have less counters for each specific force, but more forces represented. Oh, each game does come with 2d6, by the way. So usual stuff, which if you guys haven't got them, by the way, definitely get those bullet dice that I've showed you before. I love those things. I use them all the time. I just love those gravity dice. So we should have another 5 sheets of counters and a bunch of desert maps. We'll go through them real quick. We've got another set of informational counters. This looks just very similar to the one that came with Stalin's Triumph. This one has some extra town counters, though. So that's neat. You can actually turn other terrain, like blank terrain, into a town if you want to, or if the scenario calls for it. Oh, and there's this neat ability called Overwatch that you can do, where a unit can take and move and go into Overwatch, so they'll still be able to op fire on the opponent's turn, but with a penalty. So that's a neat ability. And then we got wreck and disrupted markers like usual, and just let you guys see some of the counters. And these are the usual. I keep poking them out. These are the nice usual thick counters that you see. Coming from Lock and Load, pre-rounded, all good stuff. I mean, I really do gotta say they have some of the best counters in the game, in my opinion. And then we have our designated formation counters for all the different factions there at the top. Symmetric Concealment. Let's see, this blue's got to be French forces, which French forces in this game, I was thumbing through the scenario booklet. There's actually Free French and Vichy French forces. So the one I'm thinking about playing is where it has Vichy forces fighting the Americans. I've always wanted to do one where the Americans get to shoot the French. I got some American stuff, Stuarts, and some armored infantry. Let's see what else we got. These guys should be British. And top is the rest of the Americans. Ooh, it's got a P-40 in it. Up here at the top left. I'm going to try that P-40. M10, which I do believe is a tank destroyer. We got some Crusaders. And they actually have a special rule for the British tanks. Something about them getting to move an extra hex because they moved well in combat. So they have... Ooh, they even got a Sherman tank in this one. Matildas down here. And of course, their formation markers. Some more British units, which I expected to have a lot of British, a lot of German, and, you know, a little bit American, a little bit of Italian, and a little bit of French. I think these are the Italians. Yep, you can tell a little flag right there. So we've got Italian stuff, which I don't know their equipment near as much. L640s, which I don't know. I mean, 75 mil gun, that's pretty easy to understand, but L3, I don't know what that is. And then whatever the hell this thing is, an M40. It looks cool, but didn't work because they lost the war. And let's see. Last one over here. We have some German units. Bunch of German units. Panzer IVs, 88 guns. Ooh, big 88 guns. Range 9, 3 dice. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to definitely trying that out. More Panzer IVs. Doesn't look like they had any of the heavier tanks, which they wouldn't have then. They didn't send any of those down there. I think it was a bunch of Panzer IIIs and 4s, which is what they have. And they should have some armored infantry. They got trucks. I don't think they had any half-tracks, did they? Trucks for the guns. Oh, here's some half-tracks. So who are these guys? These armored infantry here, they've got some half-track units here. But the rest of them look like they're all trucks and stuff. So, good stuff, good stuff. And then, of course, the maps and the same player aids that I showed you guys before on the other one, just in reverse. But the maps on this are going to be your desert maps. And you guys can see the towns look a little bit different, you know, simulating the area. And then you've got dunes and the rough terrain and stuff like that. So, pretty similar. But this is what comes in both games. I think, what is it, some like 4 or 5 maps roughly in it? Yeah, I think it's 5 maps come in it. But that's what you got. Definitely got to say I like the system. From what I've seen, I have not played a whole lot of Nations at War. Like I said, really kicking myself because I had one of these sitting on my shelf for a while that I kept meaning to and never got around to it until I tried World at War 85. And then I was like, oh my God, I've got this at home. I can't wait to play it. So definitely recommend trying it out. Keep an eyeball peeled on the Lock and Load Facebook page. And they'll be putting up updates on what's coming out as far as Nations of War and World at War 85. All right, that's going to be it for me. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.